and everything is written on his face. So when he says honest, he really means it. He's extremely transparent, and the first meeting that we had when I was thinking whether I should hire him or not, he started with the whole thing about his OCD and mental illness, and there was something so candid and straightforward and non-apologetic about it that I thought that is the way we need to deal with mental illness. It is a particular kind of illness, like we have all other illnesses. There are cures for it. You're not all gone. In our kind of society, we don't even have the right vocabulary. We don't even know how to deal with it. We are all either it's hushed or there's a discomfort. We just don't have conversations about these things. And here was this 22-year-old who not only had conversations, he seemed to have too many answers. Sometimes I had to remind him, you're just 22, okay? You still have a long way to go. So he's a wonderful mix of a child and an old soul. And that's the reason I'm here, because he also has a very compassionate heart. So while one can see that, okay, when you're OCD and you're all with yourself, but he has a deep desire to also share, a deep sensitivity towards others, and I think that's also somewhere that drives him. And that's something we all need to have more and more. So I don't know what mental illness is. I think we all have some kind of illness, some kind of idiosyncrasies. Some express it more openly, some don't. And I think these kind of books which are very personal and yet universal, like he said, it's genderless, faceless, nameless. It doesn't narrow you down. It kind of makes you feel that this could be me. I've just read parts of it which he had earlier sent to me as part of the synopsis, but just the idea is very powerful. And he's someone who's bringing strong thoughts and also finding poetry in it. Even the way he talks, I'm sure you find there is he's good with words, he's good with thoughts. So it's a wonderful journey, and all of us need each other. If somebody is doing anything magical, wonderful, different, new, I think we all need to help each other. And that's how I see it, that we always pay forward. You help me, I don't have to help you, I can help somebody else. And so that's how we just continue, and he's definitely part of that journey. His empathy, whether it's for the LGBT community, his thoughts on feminism. Very few young men are talking about feminism in the way Varun talks. So it's very refreshing. And that's why I think I'm here, that's why you all are here. And congratulations, Varun. I'm sure you're going to write many more books, you're going to have many more journeys, and he's also part of the film that I'm making, Manto team. He's sometimes has 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but I know he's going to be part of this journey, and it's wonderful to have you on it. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, hi. I open the floor for questions. Anybody who has a question?
The answer to that question is actually in the next para from the passage I was reading. So it goes, the first storyteller was the first dreamer. He had a dream, he had a vision of how he wanted the world to be, and he molded it into that vision. And because he molded it into that vision, it became reality through the very act of telling the story. So the protagonist, from the beginning, he's just a simple storyteller, but towards the end, he starts to believe that he's the first storyteller, because he's the first person to do something in a cycle of many people doing it first. If that makes sense to anyone. So writing isn't like a profession you choose. You don't wake up one day and say you become a writer. You are a writer or you're not. So the thing about writing was that it wasn't an act of simple just writing or doing it for art or whatever. I had to do it to survive. I had to do it because without it I would not be alive, literally. It was a way of expressing myself in a time where I could not express myself in any other way, in any other form to anybody else. And one thing about my illness is that I craved that. That was literally one of my symptoms. I craved validation and I couldn't get it because I couldn't communicate. So I had to write to break out of that circle. That was my only choice.
Hi Varun, firstly congratulations at such a
Thank
young
you.
age. You have done a great job, and obviously it is a great job. I've not read the book since Lead Start has taken that book. Obviously, it has to be great. So congratulations on that.
This is for you.
That's valid say. So you have encapsulated certain things which many people throughout their lives will not even be able to foresee how much it is. So wanted to understand when was what at what age did you decide that you will be writing a book? How much time did it take? And what really triggered you to write it? Because many people don't want to write books. They have everything in their minds. They sometimes feel like it, but actually sitting down and writing a book and taking that leap in that deep water, what do you call it? It's really an achievement.
So I started writing properly at 15. I wrote about 100 stories before I started my first book. Then I wrote a few more and I started my second. And this was over the span of from 15 to 21, I'm saying. And again, I wrote all of these books because I had to. Writing was a way of expressing things. Writing was an act of therapy, a way of putting all the thoughts that I had inside my head, all the noise inside my head, order it to create it, and then put it down in a way that made sense. It was a way of making sense of life in the way.
First of all, congrats.
Thanks.
I have read your book. It's amazing. I will
Thank
read
you.
it completely. But I just wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on the current landscape of Indian literature? Because your book is so different.
Yes.
How do you think it fits in, or what was it like for you?
Oh, this is a fun question. So, I think that the Indian writing scene is in a very unique position this way. I think all Indian art is in a very unique position at this point because we essentially have two kinds of books that sell. One are the Booker Prize winners and the elite books, and the others are the ones that claim to appeal to the masses, but just pander to them, essentially. So, I'm not going to name the authors, everyone here knows them. Everyone who knows me knows my distaste for them. So, then not. He said it, not me. He said it. So, anyway. So I think what we need to do now is that we need to really start a middle kind of way, a middle literature, like I like to call it, a way in which we can talk about books that are gripping, enthralling, but also make you think. Don't pander to you. Don't treat you like you are a child who's just learning how to read. There, books are capable of that. There are good books, and we need to encourage that. For example, in this book, I have everything from Harry Potter references to Eastern postmodernism. But you don't need to know you'll get one or the other, and it doesn't take away your experience from reading of all of it. You'll get something. There's something for everyone, and there is a way to create emotional books, emotional journeys that are accessible to everyone but are also good enough to read. No. I'm not that narcissist. If I had to do a lead protagonist, no. I there is no answer to that question because I would want the lead protagonist to be different people. I want different people to play the same person at different points in the series. No, I haven't thought of that. No. Casting directors can call me. I'll tell them. Yeah.
We have a couple of
Yeah,
other
no.
questions, but if you could please wait for yeah.
Good evening, ma'am. Hi, Varun. Hello.
Hello.
Varun, congratulations. It's a
Thank
big
you.
deal. So, while you were talking, the first question that comes to my mind is the protagonist, which is the main character, is nameless. He doesn't have features. And so, what were the difficulties that you actually faced while writing that?
So it was quite a interesting journey, I should say, in that I had to create a character that had no defining character, that was emotionally very, very defined, but at the same time was not defined in any features. So it had to be, it could either be a man or a woman. That's why the protagonist falls in love 3 times. First time with a man, second time with a woman, third time with an androgynous creature. So you don't even know his sexuality in that way. Then at so when he's interacting with other people, he is only insulted or abused. He is othered in a lot of ways. He is made to be an outsider by anyone who meets him, and in that way he becomes a caricature himself. Now, to tell you all an interesting story, since Ms. Das said feminism, I do this experiment with a lot of people I meet. I tell them, okay, I've told you this book. Now, who did you imagine the main character as? Usually, they tell me some kind of man, some kind of man, sometimes looking like me, sometimes looking like someone they know. So I say this person who has completely universal features. You think it's a man. Now try and imagine the same person as a woman. And they say, no, we can't do it. There's more involved in being a woman. And I say, but why is there more involved in being a woman than being a man if the defining characteristics of them both are the same? There is an implicit bias to assume that any universal character is a man. And if you read the book closely enough, if you examine it closely enough, you will see that implicit bias coming out as you read it as well.